In Etheria Restart, it is hard to beat your first Inferno difficulty level piece of content. And I finally just beat my first one here with NicoNana. We beat this for the first time yesterday, and I did it as a free-to-play player with no light dark SSRs. I do have two on my account, Heinrich and Mio, but I'm not using them in this content, and certainly we are not using any of the ones it seems everyone else is using. Lily, 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 Lily. Hey, look, team without Lily or Shadow Sonya. Shadow Sonya, Shadow Sonya, Lily. You get the picture. So the team I want to show you today is something I think is very free to play viable. It only uses one DPS and it uses no LD units, no constant or disorder units. So let's hop right into it and let me show you these guys. Then I'll break down what the boss does. Then we'll hop right in and then I'll show you the gear. But just so you know, I don't farm any Inferno difficulty level thresholds, obviously, since this is my first Inferno clear. So all my gear is stuff I earned from Hell 3 and then very recently Hell 4. About a week and a half ago, I beat Doki Doki Hell 4 for the first time, and then actually this weekend, I got it at a 100% farm. That's my best piece of content. Finally got Teramaton and Aurora Hell 4 on a pretty solid farm, like 70%, 80% completion farm. But let's talk NicoNana. Just wanted to give you the background on what kind of gear we're working with. And like I said, I'll show you that at the end of the video so you can copy these builds. But everything is pretty dang realistic. I'm just a free-to-play player who's been playing since launch day one. So at the time of filming this, I think we're at about 7 weeks or something. 6 or 7 weeks since the game started. But you can see I've got my one DPS who is Rosa, and she is wearing a Revelation, which is absolutely the shell you should put on her. Definitely do that. Then we've got Viper, who was the key to this comp, and you'll hear me talk a lot about Viper in this video. Then we have got Tsukiyomi, who is excellent for this, but if you don't have her, anyone that brings increased speed will suffice. And finally, we have Ling Luo, who we all get for free on day 7. She is awesome for this with her immunity, with her cleansing, and of course, with the big-ass heals. So let's just spend 1 or 2 minutes talking about what the boss does so we know how to beat it, and then let's head into battle. The key things to focus in on with this boss are his 2 passives. Well, really her 2 passives, right? It's NicoNana and then the gorilla's like her little deadly assistant. But this first passive, Friendly Match, they start the fight with 60% extra damage reduction. When attacked, you reduce the extra damage reduction by 1.5% for every 1 additional speed the attacker possesses compared to the unit. So whatever your speed is compared to NicoNana and the gorilla's speed, that is going to reduce the damage reduction, thus allowing you to hit them a lot harder. So a key thing in this battle is you want to bring increased speed for yourself and decreased speed as a debuff to land on the enemies. The second passive here, Losing Patience, they're going to deal 15% more damage for every 2 turns of action taken by the unit. So every 2-turn cycle, their damage is going to ramp up, so your fights cannot last forever. So you're going to want your fights to be fairly quick. You'll see my fight is close to like 2 minutes long. It's usually like 140 to 2 minutes. But essentially, if you don't beat them fairly quickly, the damage is going to ramp up too much. You can bring a ton of support, and that's kind of what we're doing here. But all in all, it's pretty clutch to deal with this fast. A good way to deal with it, though, is going to be to bring decrease attack. So you heard me mention 2 debuffs, decrease speed and decrease attack. And what is phenomenal about Viper, who's only an SR unit, is he is bringing both. So I guess I just want to talk about him for 2 seconds because I've just been blown away by him. I finally built him. You can see I maxed out his skill 1 and his skill 3, but it is the skill 3 where he is bringing an AoE hit that has an attack reduction and a speed reduction. Get Viper's effect accuracy up to the moon, and you basically have a 100% chance to do this, all while, in addition, dispelling 2 buffs from the target you're hitting. This is a skill you will definitely want to have maxed out. At the very least, you want it at level 4, because at base, he's only dispelling 1 buff. You want to be able to dispel 2, and it is very, very strong. To talk about the S1 very quickly now, this is a cool move. It can put out a 1-turn silence, but the key thing here is every time he uses it, they misgender him a bit here, but every time Viper uses the S1, he's going to get a stack of serpent skin, and when he has 4 stacks, when his counterattack in his passive is triggered, he won't counterattack with his basic with the S1, he will counter with that amazing S3 we just discussed. To wrap it up with the S2, this is where he gets his counterattack. He also has some really nice crit damage reduction. This makes him really strong in PvP content as well. In my opinion, this is a must-build SR unit, but for now, let's just focus on his PvE applications. But you can see he's going to do a ton of work for us here, only at 5 stars. So we'll break down his gear as well as the other 3 units' gear after the battle, but I think enough is enough. Let's head on in and let me show you the fight. I'll tell you, this is not 100% clearance because there's too many instances of RNG. The one other thing about the enemies I have to tell you is the little assistants, these mini robot gorilla things to the side of NicoNana and the gorilla. They have a chance to stun, and those stuns can really throw the run out of whack. Bringing a cleanser in Ling Luo can be really clutch, and you should definitely do it. But that being said, her cleanse is not 100%, especially not even close if you don't have her max skilled. I don't have any lattices in her. And because of that, there's occasionally the run where things go awry. One way we kind of make up for the RNG that comes from the stuns is going to be with Tsukiyomi, who's not only making us faster, so we get rid of those debuffs faster, the crowd control goes away faster, but additionally, she kind of gives an extra turn with her S3. She's going to pick one unit. She always goes for the unit with the highest attack, so for us, that's going to be Rosa, who's our DPS, so it works out really nicely. Also, they tend to stun Rosa a lot, and at base skill, she's going to boost the turn meter by 60%. Usually, it lets Rosa cut the line, so the stun gets off her faster, or if she is not stunned, she gets her turn faster. Without further ado, let's head into the battle. We're going to focus here on the boss. That was unfortunate. The stun went on Tsukiyomi. And also unfortunate, we did not land the decrease attack on the boss. But unfortunately, this is kind of RNG restart. All you can do is build a great comp and hope it gets to 100% eventually. And we didn't land the freaking mark from Rosa. This is a nightmare run. Let's please restart. I've never seen that confluence of bad RNG happen all at once. And of course, it happens while we're filming. Stun again on Tsukiyomi. There we go. Landed both debuffs. Let's get the cleanse here. Oh, actually, the stun, she already took her turn. But there we go with the whale prayers and the immunity. You're going to turn from Rosa. She better land that mark. I've got the S1 maxed out. And there you go. She gets the extra hit. And you can see she is not hitting that hard, but she's hitting hard enough. When anyone else gets lucky enough to land a crit, she'll do a follow-up attack. There you go. Actually, no, that was her getting the extra turn from Tsukiyomi. There's the follow-up attack. And because she's putting out the AoE increased crit, these other 3 units, even though I didn't build them for crit, do crit a decent bit. This is a good example of what I was talking about where we get the extra turn meter for Rosa. However, she was next on the queue anyway, so no real benefit there. There, we didn't get a crit, so no follow-up from Rosa. Here we go again, and there is a double dispel with the decreased speed and the decreased attack from Viper. Really excellent. Now we got a little bit of a cleanse plus more immunity. Viper goes again with a little counterattack. So he had the full stacks from his S1 there. And now Rosa comes in with a big hit. We have a big difference with the speed and the decreased speed. Speed on us, decreased speed on them. And you're going to see it's going pretty good. We're keeping the mark up. There you go, follow up again. Sorry about that first run. That was like, I've been clearing, usually I'm doing runs of 8 because I've 2-starred it, not 3-starred it. And almost always we either go 8-0 or 7-1. But I guess that first run was just everything going poorly. There's the decreased defense. The boss can put out decreased defense. It's not a 100% chance. I believe it is a 60% chance. So because of that, that's just another layer of RNG because they land that enough and the Ling Luo heals don't happen at the right moments. You can die. But you'll see, there's no way we're going to lose this run now. Well, unless they target out Rosa like that. Unfortunate stun again. But really, really good time for the S3 from Ling Luo. Plus, we got the Purify, we got the Cleanse. And this might do it. And it does. So there you have it, 2 minutes and 5 seconds. And it usually does fall in that like high 1 minute to low 2 minute range. Let's see, did we get a triple slot? No, we didn't. I've probably done 120 runs now. I've gotten 1 mythic shell with 3 slots, with 3 matrix lines. Let's go into the builds. I do want to show you that defense break, though. It's going to be on this skill over here, and you can see it's a 50-50 chance when they use this Game of Mole's skill. So it's RNG restart. Until you're completely overpowered for a piece of content or you have the perfect recipe of anima, I found as I get to the harder content, I'm always happy with 80%, 90% because so many layers of RNG in this game. Let me know if you agree in the comment section below. But here we are with Rosa. Let's start with her to begin. And you can see I've got her in an unbelievably nice shell. I'm very proud of the shell for my level. It is a revelation with fury and momentum. I spent a decent amount of resources re-rolling this, empowering this, and reconfiguring these effects. but you do not need them at this level, obviously. And you'll see it's not like my gear's crazy. Somehow I got the max level overclocking just the other day. Then we got unparalleled, some extra crit damage. Crit rate would be really nice. If I had a big crit rate roll, I could take out one of the right side crit rate main stat pieces we have on her. And then I've got Blade of Oddity, because obviously she's an odd blue affinity hero. Let's go now to the modules, and you'll see I'm actually running her in Harvest as well. The momentum gives us a little extra crit that frankly we don't really need since she self buffs. We picked it up anyway, just for those moments where she's not wearing the buff, but we want to be closer to 100% crit. You can see I've got her at 92% without the buff. And aside from that, we're just stacking the attack to the moon with a respectable amount of speed, though it isn't that much, right? This is 185 speed. If you want to see the total stats, there you go. But to go through it, I built a harvest set just from the pieces, just from the modules, not using anything from the shell. And we're just going attack bonus here with some speed and some crit stats, attack bonus with a little bit of crit, a little bit of crit damage, but no good rolls. And then here's where we had to go for the crit rate. I do like the substats on this, though it doesn't have any speed. If we go to the left now, you'll see we got some crit rate, crit damage, a little bit of attack. We got speed, crit rate, crit damage, and then we got crit rate, speed, flat attack, little effect to accuracy. All in all, it's a completely and utterly fine build for this level content. It's not OP. It takes me a while to get it done, but she's good enough. She's tanky enough. She's fast enough. She's just enough of everything that you can absolutely get it done. And I will tell you, just having the attack high and having her in a revelation goes an incredibly long way. This is the best in slot shell for her by a lot. Dealing that indirect real damage scaling off of the target's HP is very, very, very significant. And it really does help us, especially because she has the multi-hitter with her S3. Speaking of which, let's talk about her skills. I've maxed out her S2, her passive. I think this is completely essential to Rosa. This is what I maxed out first. Then I maxed out recently her S3. I think it's important to max out her S3 for two reasons. The first reason, you're going to want her fairly fast, and it's hard to come by speed early on. You can pick up another 15 speed here as you level it up. But the second reason, and the more important reason in my opinion, is when you get it level 5, it reduces the skill cooldown of her S3 by 1 turn. That might not sound so crazy, but if we go back over here, it brings it down to a 3-turn cooldown, which means it will be perfectly in sync with the Revelation, which has a 3-turn cooldown. So whenever she does the S3, she's going to have the Revelation ready, and you really want those synced up. So if you want to use Rosa a lot, she's my favorite character in the game. She's my favorite character in the game. Just look at my YouTube channel's profile picture. You're definitely going to want the S3 max. So it is in perfect concert with the Revelation, and it always stays synced up. We already talked a lot about Viper, but just to get into it a little more, I've got him in this Artisan over here. You certainly don't need this shell on him. I just have a really good Shadow Dash roll on this, 19 additional speed. Very lucky to have that. For most content, I run this on Freya or I run it on Tsukiyomi. But the key thing is just getting the extra speed, and also getting those shields out is pretty helpful, right? It's definitely useful, like to make sure if the run's going awry, we don't die. It, chips away at some of the RNG and makes the runs closer to 100% on the success rate. For the gear, this is a lot of gear I leveled up recently. Pretty happy with the build. I'll show you the total stats right now, coming in at 244 speed. Good, but nothing crazy, nothing that significant. Just a hair under 200% effect accuracy. I really wish it was 200%. And then a little bit of tankiness. That is really it. We've got him in a 12-piece Swift Rush, and we've got him in a 9-piece Time Weave. I really wish, and it would help the run a lot, if I could get this plus 12, but I don't have an Artisan. That has 3 Swift Rush and 3 Strive. I do have the idea to get him into this Jackal Guard over here that I've been working on, but I didn't think it was fast enough right now. However, I have been farming, right? I do actually have some training data for once. So I'm thinking once I'm able to reconfigure this and get a slightly faster roll on the Shadow Dash, I can put this Jackal Guard back on him, and maybe my runs will be a bit more consistent. Because, not to get too in the weeds, but with the Time Weave, right? You're going to have, at the start of every turn, a 35% chance to reduce the cooldown of all his skills by 1 turn. And that's very helpful with this skill 3, right? That is kind of the crux of his kit. You don't need it per se, because he's going to do it a lot anyway. And it can be triggered with the counterattacks once you've got the Serpent skin up. But yeah, that's what I went for with my Viper. I couldn't suggest building him enough. Before we continue, I want to show you, I did pull up Kazami Kazuyo, who clearly I do not have built, but it's actually really hard to come by AoE increased speed as a buff in this game, but she's got it. And actually, she has a pretty solid kit for this. She's a neutral affinity. And then this S3 over here is pretty nice. So she's going to reduce all animus and shell cooldowns by 1 turn. This would allow you to cycle a lot better. We also do have a similar cooldown reduction with Tsukiyomi, we'll discuss in a second. And then she grants a 2-turn increased speed to everyone. It's just a solid skill, and she presents a good, even more free-to-play alternative to Tsukiyomi, assuming you weren't lucky enough to pull Tsukiyomi. Speaking of Tsukiyomi, I've got her here. And by the way, guys, Rosa's my only 6-star unit. Everyone else I have at 5 stars. Viper over here is not even at level 45. But Tsukiyomi, she's at 5 stars. You can see no skill ups. Everything's at level 1 here. And we're really making good use of this skill. So what she's going to do is increase the target's allies' turn meter by 60%. If you eventually skill her up, this goes to 100%. Unfortunately, the move's on a 5-turn cooldown, so you're not getting as much uptime on the increased speed and the increased attack as you'd like, but it's still completely functional, as you saw. And then she's going to boost one ally's turn meter by 60%, but then AoE, she's doing increased attack and increased speed. Another clutch thing to think about is Ling Luo with her S2 can increase the duration of buffs. So effectively, when it lines up, a lot of the time, this is going to be like a 3-turn increase attack and a 3-turn increase speed. The other key thing in her kit I want to talk about is her S2. You can see she deals some AoE damage and she has a chance to silence the enemies. But most important, this attack also reduces all animus and shell cooldowns for all allies by 1 turn. Unfortunately, again, it starts at a 5-turn cooldown, but this can be pretty clutch. It brings everyone back around. It brings Rosa and the Revelation back around. It is a good move. For the build, it's pretty simple. We're going for speed, and then I put her in +8 strive, actually +9 here. And I just wanted her kind of fast, and I wanted her to get extra turn meters so she could turn cycle and skill cycle a bit faster. That is also helped by her shell over here. We have her in a Codex of Magic, so the first time she does her ultimate, she does it again, so she does her ult twice to start the battle. This helps us get the increased speed up. It helps us control for moments where she gets stunned, like you saw in the 2 battles we just did, the one that failed and the successful one, and it's going to allow her multiple times to boost Rosa or whomever you're using as your DPS. It's a pretty simple build. I'll show you the total stats now. It's not that fast, 226, and the rest of the stuff is just whatever. A little bit of defense, a little HP, you're good to go. Now our final unit is going to be Ling Luo, and again, I do not have any lattice in her. You know, I don't have any extra skill ups. If you can do it eventually, I think Ling Luo is a great unit to invest in. Particularly, I would start with her S1 over here, this Rockstar ability. It is great to increase the duration of her Whale Prayer buff to 2 turns. That happens at level 5. And additionally, at level 4, she increases the chance of purifying, so cleansing debuffs, or applying Whale Prayer to 75%. So just a lot better, but it works without it. And as for the build, there's nothing too fancy here. Once again, I'll show you the total stats. She's coming in with 35k, almost 36k HP. She's fairly fast for my level, but not in general. 238 is nothing to be so proud of. And that's like the whole build. That's really it. I just got her in +12 Swift Rush and +8 Bulwark. Swift Rush so she can go fast, or at least by my standards fast, and then Bulwark so she starts the battle the very first turn with immunity in case the stun was going to go to her. She's the one I really don't want to get stunned, though they don't seem to target her very often. This is just a nice little safeguard, plus you got to put another set on her. I guess, right? Like, why not? For the shell, again, we're using a Codex of Magic. I have 1 matrix of Swift Rush, and I've got 3 matrices of Bulwark. The effects here actually aren't that special at all. I'd like to reconfigure a lot of those, but this is nice because to start the battle, we're getting 2 big heals and we're getting 2 applications of immunity. I just find it to be a nice match for her, but there's a lot of shells you could do. There you have it, guys. That is going to be the team comp. That is what we're cooking with. I really hope this is helpful. A single DPS, no light dark SSR team. I think it's pretty dang accessible. And I was beginning to think, how long am I going to play this game before I beat a single Inferno piece of content? And finally, we did it. So to end the video, I just want to say I'm Fastidious. This is my channel, Etheria Station. If you're new here, please do subscribe to the channel. I've done guides on Etheria in the past, but this is my first ever guide on the new channel. So if you have any suggestions for how these guides could be better or more helpful or smoother, please let me know above. And also, if you're not yet playing Etheria, I've got my link in the description in the top pinned comment. I'd love if you gave it a chance and maybe a download. I appreciate it. All right, I'm going to turn off my camera. We're going to let this run finish out, and I'll see you around. Thank you. Share with your mother. Goodbye.
Fastidious.